The hardening of Pharaoh's heart. It is a very, very famous subject in the Bible. It's something that Paul takes up again in the New Testament, and it's something that many believers struggle with. My goal in going through the Hebrew today is not to argue for a Calvinist or an Arminian position, but rather to simply say, what does the text say? And are our English translations often not sufficiently sensitive to what the text says? Now, before I get into any of this, let me say that from a biblical perspective, the pottery, the clay, has no right to tell the potter what to do. God can do what he wants to do because he is God. God can have mercy on whom he wants to have mercy. He can harden whom he wants to harden. And it's not up to us to find fault with him because we are the clay and he is the potter. So, as a believer in the one true God, the God of the universe, the creator, I bow before him and I recognize that any sense of morality and justice that I have comes from being created in his image. I simply want to say, what does the text say and how can we best understand it? All right? There's also the question of how God hardens a heart. It's been pointed out through the centuries that the same rays of sun that bake the clay melt the wax. So God can reveal his love to someone and they don't want to hear it and it hardens their heart. Have you ever shared the gospel with someone that told you they're not interested, and the more you talk to them, the further you drive them away? So there are many different ways that God can harden a heart as well. We bow before him as the king who can do whatever he pleases. We also know that whatever he does is ultimately good and just, even if we don't always see it like that from our vantage point. So here's the first verse of interest, and I've got my nice little Hebrew Bible here. The first verse of interest we find is in Exodus chapter 3, verse 19. Now, it doesn't mention the word harden yet, but when God is sending Moses to Pharaoh, and of course Moses goes reluctantly and only with Aaron's help, when God's sending Moses to Pharaoh to have his people leave Egypt, to give the mandate to Pharaoh, let my people go, God says, and I know that he will not let you go. The king of Egypt will not let you go, even biyad chazakah, even with a strong hand. In other words, even with God putting pressure on him and working miracles, he said, I know that the king of Egypt will not let you go. So that's the first thing that's actually spoken. So that's Exodus 3:19. When we get to Exodus chapter 4, verse 21, this is the first time now, and again, this is before they've gotten to Egypt. This is the first time we have a reference to the hardening of the heart. And God says this, Vani achazek et libo. The verb chazak means to be strong. That's the basic meaning of that verb, chazak, to be strong. In this form, which is called the PL or an intensive form, lichazek, means to make strong. Now, virtually every time you'll see this verse or this verb in this form used in the Hebrew Bible, you'll see that it means to make firm, to make strong. So rather than translate this as harden, at the least translate it as stiffen. But you could say, I will make his heart firm. In other words, he doesn't want to let you go, and I'm going to strengthen his resolve not to let you go. Now, how could God do that? In 1,000 different ways. And he's sovereign, and let God be God. I'm simply opening up what the Hebrew says. I know that this is commonly translated harden, but you'll see there are 3 different verbs, and they're also used in different forms. I think we need to distinguish between them in our translations. So I will literally strengthen his heart so that he won't let you go.